So welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Our session today is called The Candidate's Secret Weapon, and we are focused on all the pieces that you need to get your mindset right to run for office. So grab your handouts if you got your workbook. If not, we'll be posting the link in the chat, and take the best notes that you can. We're going to dive right in, and this is going to be super interactive. So use the chat box on the right. Should have a little bubble that says chat. To answer questions or ask questions, but we'll do Q&A at the end. So try to save your questions, but we want you to respond to all the things we're going to ask you because there's going to be a lot. And we might go pretty quick just to try to get all of this awesomeness into 1 hour for you. Are you ready, Miss Missy?
I'm ready.
Okay.
So we really want you to focus today. So I have locked my puppies in the garage with my husband and said, go away. So we're hoping that you're able to, if you haven't done it yet, download the workbook link in so that you can use it while we're talking and have some paper and a pen handy maybe. Silence your phone, close the door, get your distractions out of the way, get off of the social medias and the Facebooks. Just make sure you're super focused on what we have to teach you because like Melanie said, we have a lot to cover today. So we're really, really happy you're here. We're so excited about it and we can't wait to get going. So should we get going?
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, I am Dr. Melissa Bird, PhD, and I bookend it because it irritates the academics. And I finished my PhD in social work in May. And I am a writer and a creator of passion, and I have been working in politics for the last 20 years. I am a wife and a mother. I've got 3 kids and a really awesome husband. I listen to Metallica on a daily basis, pretty much to keep me going. And I drive my Camaro like I'm a 16-year-old idiot.
So I am Melanie Childers. I don't know if y'all can still see me or if you can just see my screen. But I'm an executive political coach, almost a master coach, and an activist and resistance warrior. And I balance that out by being a yoga teacher as well. And I'm a confidence specialist and kind of a bubble tea junkie.
I understand.
That's okay. More for me. So just to get started, just some quick questions like when are you thinking about running and for what office, or are you already running? If you guys will hop into the chat and just tell us where you're at and what you're thinking about doing, Missy will read them for us.
I will indeed.
Who's running? I know we talked to Kathleen a few minutes ago and she says she's thinking about it.
Any of you want to run? Fort Collins City Council in April 2019. Good job, Julie. That's awesome.
Ooh, that's awesome, Julie.
Mary Ann's running for school board right now. Elections in November. Awesome. Tammy's running for Congress in Texas.
Hi, Tammy. I'm so excited for you.
Karen's
oh my God, yay.
starting to think about it on a local level. That's awesome.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yes. Jessica's trying to figure out how on earth you could do it with 4 littles. Oh, you totally can, Jessica. We can totally help you with that. I totally get that. That's awesome.
Very cool. So, okay then, let's start with the next question. What's stopping you? What do you feel like is your biggest obstacle, your biggest hurdle? Is it confidence? Is it fundraising? Is it being able to use your voice? Is it speaking in public?
Oh, Karen says inertia.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Definitely help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Anybody else?
Jessica says childcare, time, and fundraising. Tony says money, know-how, how to start. Jay's from Katy, Texas, running precinct chair locally, hopefully something bigger. Working with Tammy's campaign. That's awesome.
Very cool.
Mary Ann's totally rocking with confidence and in it full swing. That is bad.
Yay. Oh my God, I'm so glad.
That is so rad.
Very cool. Okay.
Awesome.
So then we also want to know, what's your why? Why are you running? Is it because you hate Trump? That's totally okay if that's your reason. That would be my reason. It might be that there's an issue locally that you're super passionate about, or an issue nationally that you're super passionate about, or you just fed up with politics as is and it's time to change that culture.
Yeah, what brought you into this?
Also, we're probably going to cuss, so don't get offended.
Oh yeah, we swear a lot. I want to get women's voices in our area ranked choice voting.
Yes.
Time to step up my game after volunteering and throwing my money at caucuses for decades.
Okay. That's
There's
a very good reason.
There's your link, by the way, for the workbook, because I'm smart, well-informed, really unhappy with the GOP in Texas. Oh, so much.
Praise.
Set up with outside money, having influence on representatives. Very nice.
Absolutely. All incredible reasons to run. Great.
Wonderful. Awesome.
All right. So that's you.
So more and more progressive women are feeling called to find their voice and actively participate in politics. I love Tony's tired of screaming at the TV. So
Us too.
Yes, so are we, which is why we created this whole entire webinar, honest to God. So we just really love this momentum of women running for office, and it's just really inspiring about how all of our voices are coming to the table. But the number one reason that women don't run for office is because they have a lack of confidence. And so we've put together this webinar and our programming around building a campaign mindset that helps you really show up and be present and make a huge difference to change campaign culture and politics. And that's really why we are so excited that y'all are here and that you all are participating in this, and that almost all of you are seriously considering a run, and it's really, really incredible. Yeah. So we want to know if this sounds like you. So you want to run for office, but you have a family to manage. We've heard that.
Maybe you feel like you're not qualified.
You're too young, you're too old, you got skeletons in your closet. We all have skeletons in our closet. You're not alone.
Don't we all? Afraid of criticism and personal attacks? Does any of this sound like y'all?
Do you feel like you don't know enough? You don't know if you're going to step up? It requires too much energy.
Yeah, maybe somebody else will step up and do it.
Do any of these things resonate for you? Let us know in the chat if it feels like you. Giving up a good job. Tammy struggled with that. Karen says she's too old.
Nope.
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 I feel like I don't know enough.
Okay.
New chapter and looking to serve. Awesome. Very, very cool.
So, yeah. Is this the right one? What would more confidence look like for you?
You're on.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? No, that's right. So what would more confidence look like for you? We want to know in the chat, like, what would that look like for you? What would be different? What would you stand up for? How would you run for office differently if you're not already yet? What would you do if nothing could stop you?
I love that we've got a couple of empty nesters, and that's why they've decided to run. That's so cool.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, think about that or throw it in the chat, whatever works for you.
Oh, Jessica says it's not confidence, it's ignorance of the process.
Oh, but that's fixable.
Oh, and Jenny said she just found out that she lives in a really red area with red friends, and so she needs more like-minded people to support her. So she's figuring out how to find her supporters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. A stronger public speaker and feel better about asking for money. Oh, we can help you with that. I love raising money. It's my favorite thing.
So, okay, I'm going to move forward. I got these slides and we went through a different order last night and I forgot to move them around. So that's okay. You're not going to do everything perfectly. Hi, here's a good example.
Yes.
So let's talk about what's holding you back. A big problem is that women don't run because of lack of confidence, afraid to focus their passion, use their voice, fear of leading, being visible.
Julie's scared shitless to be in a debate.
Oh, girl.
We can help.
I get that. Totally get that. We're also afraid of, the misogynistic attacks that are gonna happen. But at the same time, like, haters are gonna hate, right? Trolls are gonna troll. But they cannot keep you from taking action and believing in yourself. So a thing to think about is, how do you get voters to believe in you if you don't believe in you? Like, you have to have that bedrock of confidence first. So, even if you're worried about what people will say about you, worried about time management, stress management, leading a team, or just feeling overwhelmed in general. Does any of that sound right to you? Any of that resonate?
Based on what people are saying, it definitely is resonating with people.
Yeah. Totally feeling you.
So if we want to give you sort of the foundation that if nothing's going to change your community and nothing's going to shift politics if we don't build up our confidence, because it stops us from really figuring out how to move forward. And so what we're managing your mind and using your voice is really critical to this. So when you know about your issues and you know about your platform, it makes it easier to not be overwhelmed and not be afraid of failure. And so being a highly visible person is really critical to this piece, and it's okay. So if you have unconditional support and guidance, being visible is not going to be as overwhelming to you. And so,
so wouldn't it be nice to feel like that?
Yeah. So we wanted to get you to a place where you're like Angelina Jolie and you're like, forget about it. Screw you. I'm going to move on with my platform and my politics, and I'm going to win. And thank you very much for your negativity. So part of this, the secret weapon is really figuring out how to check your negativity at the door and move on.
Yep. So today we're going to talk about some clear steps to get ready to run. We'll talk about building the incredible passion that motivates you through the hard times, that fosters belief from constituents and inspires donors to give generously, that building that unshakable confidence to lead, communicate powerfully, and throw off criticism and negativity with ease, and build massive visibility to change the world with your authentic and imperfect voice.
So throughout my career, one of the things that I know is that being fierce, persistent, and enlightened helps you in your campaign. And if you are super tapped into your passion, then these things like you all mentioned, being scared shitless to be in a debate, not knowing how to raise money, feeling overwhelmed and being afraid of failure, if you are tapped into the thing that lights you the most on fire, then those things sort of fall away and you become able to raise your money, kick ass in a debate, and you don't get as afraid of failing because you're not afraid to be imperfect. And so tapping deeply into your passion helps you run for office and change your community.
Yep. So we want you to go to your workbooks or your scratch piece of paper real quick, and we're going to ask that you evaluate your current state. So rate where you're at on a scale of 1 to 10 for each item. So we'll start with 1 is strongly disagree, 10 is strongly agree. And we'll start with the first one. I feel confident about running for office and winning. Just throw your number in the chat real quick.
Oh, Jessica's 4. Karen's a 9. Nice. Everybody else? 1, 7, 6.5.
Okay. What about I know my platform and I'm fiercely passionate about it? 1 through 10. I know my platform and I'm fiercely passionate about it.
Oh, people are a little more unsure about their platforms.
Okay. That's okay. Okay. And what about I don't take criticism personally. It doesn't bother me at all. Where are you at with criticism?
People are kind of in the middle. They don't really care. It doesn't bother them too much, but kind of in the middle a little bit.
Okay. And then what about I'm totally comfortable being interviewed on camera? It's like the public speaking piece. Well, that's one of the public speaking pieces. How are y'all feeling about being on camera?
A lot of people are feeling pretty good. Pretty good about being on camera.
Okay. So I proudly speak in public on topics that fire me up. 1 to 10. Where y'all at?
Marianne's a firm 10.
Awesome.
Oh, a lot of people are really, really, really firm on this one.
Oh, I'm so glad.
They proudly speak about stuff that fires them up. That's awesome.
Oops. hold on. Sorry, not there yet.
Nothing
Not to Beyonce yet. I know how to talk to voters about contentious issues. How does that feel? 1 to 10. I might come back to your debate question.
People feel pretty good in the middle or on the pretty good side. So it looks like we got some firm folks who are really
awesome.
They're ready.
And then what about I'm comfortable making multiple calls a day to ask for money? Where y'all at with asking?
1 0.
Okay.
37903.
So I see a place we need to work on.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I'm comfortable leading a team, having hard conversations, and firing staff if necessary. Where y'all at?
People are really confident about leading a team for the most part. A couple of people are like, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So how did y'all rate? If most of your answers were 0 to 3, you were struggling a little bit, and that's totally okay. Most answers 4 to 7, you're about average. And then most answers 8 to 10, you are Beyonce. And we want you all to be at Beyonce, right?
And this is why this is super important to just, like, as you're looking at this image of her, like, we need strong, fierce, confident women who are ready to lead. And if we are able to develop a deep breadth of women who are ready to run in our communities from the city level all the way up to the federal level, then that's the change that we're looking for in our communities. And the bonus is all of you that are on this webinar are all ready to do that. And I think it's really incredible. So we're hoping that all of you all want to see how to get to a 10 on all of these things.
Yeah. Y'all ready to see how to get to a 10? Ooh, ooh.
Woo!
We need some music to fire y'all up a little bit. So here's what a 10 looks like. Missy, you want to go for it?
Yeah, you totally rock, right? You're totally rocking. Like, you are jumping in with confidence. You're confidently calling donors. You're fundraising like a boss. You're fending off criticism and misogyny like a boss. You're like, forget about it. I got this. I'm all good. Totally rocking. You're leading it. You're speaking up about passionate issues. You're using your voice for change. You're managing your team. Because remember, part of running for office is also managing a team of volunteers and sometimes paid staff. And you have to make super complicated decisions that are in alignment with your passion and your voice and your integrity. Eleni?
Did you do winning it?
No, you're doing winning it.
No, I'm doing winning it. And the last piece is that you are winning it. You are being your authentic, imperfect, highly visible self, not being afraid to make mistakes, not being afraid to say, oops, I messed that up, and let's move on. And making just huge impact in your community. Again, like whether you're running for school board or Congress, like we need you. And I feel like this is a really big way that we want to shake up campaign culture, and our political culture is more kind, but also more fierce and more forgiving and more loving and more accepting. So let's talk a little bit about what it
Tony.
looks like.
Melanie, Tony says she's totally loving this. It's awesome. Yay!
Oh, yay. We love you too. So let's talk about the fierce candidate model. So you should have one of these models in your workbook, and we're going to go through and tell you all of the elements. And then we're going to ask you, again, this is super interactive. So you're going to put in the chat, green if you're nailing it, yellow if you're kind of so-so, and red if you need help. So the next piece is passion. Missy, go for it.
Hold on. I'm just typing in the colors in the chat so that people can remember them. So for each of these pieces, we want you to tell us sort of where your color's at. So the first real critical piece to a successful campaign is passion. And that really means that you're clear on your voice. You're clear on why you want to run. Can you say it succinctly, out loud, and convincingly, really quickly? I'm running for office because. So tell us in the chat, are you red? No. Yellow somewhat. Green? Hell yes. Like, I'm totally there. I know my voice. Tony's green. Awesome. Julie's yellow. Kathleen's green.
Awesome.
Awesome. So y'all are nailing it. We got some folks in the middle. That's awesome. So you've got room to improve and grow and learn from other people who totally have their voice like nailed down. And the second piece of your passion, Jessica says green, but I don't know what I want to run for to make the most difference. That is so awesome. I think that's the sweet spot to be in, because it means that all of the opportunities from a city level all the way up to a federal level are open to you. And you're going to be able to take these tools to make that decision based on what impacts your life and your family the most. So once you've got your platform, you've got your issues figured out, do you know what your platform is, and do you know what you stand for? So let us know in the chat if you know your issues, your platform, and what you stand for. So again, that's green, yellow, and red. So are there things that totally make you feel passionate? Julie's a red. Got a couple greens. So people seem to be pretty firm in knowing what their platform is, but we got one or two folks that are just really still in the big no's, which is great, because that means the sky is the limit for you to figure out how to tap into your passion, to lay out your platform in a way that is super resonant with you.
Yep. And totally normal, by the way.
Oh yeah, totally normal. And the last piece of this is fundraising. So if you are really digging into your passion, you are comfortable asking others for money, can you speak succinctly about what you stand for in 5 minutes or less and confidently ask for a vote and for money? So Kathleen's a red. Where are you guys at with this? I think I heard before that a lot of you are really in the red, or in the space where you don't know how to ask for money. Jessica, you're asking the entire world. You're asking your best friends and total strangers. That's awesome. Who you're asking. Marianne's a green. Tony's a red. So lots of people want support. Tammy's right in the middle at the yellow. So lots of people want support with fundraising. And that is, Jenny says yellow and how much is needed. This is such a typical space for, Kathleen says, I have a cushy life, so asking for money is awkward. That totally makes a lot of sense. Fundraising for campaigns can be complicated, but if you're tapped into your passion and you just acknowledge that this is a piece of running for office, it can make stuff so much easier. And we're going to give you the other tools that will help you build that foundation right now.
Yeah, we're going to dive into that in just a second, but we're going to finish out the model. And so the next big piece is confidence. And the big piece that you need with confidence is mastering your inner critic. You have to be able to master the voice in your head that tells you that you suck, frankly, because we all have one. So how loud is your inner critic? Are you able to put it aside and take action anyway? And if she keeps you from taking action regularly, like you probably are red. If it's sometimes and you still speak out anyway, yellow. And if you're like, nope, go sit down, you're green. So where are you guys at with your inner critic?
Kathleen's a green.
Woo.
Julie's a green.
Awesome.
These folks really, really, they're either in the middle or on the green side. So that's nice.
Okay. So the next piece of the confidence little circle wheel is your leadership. And are you typing?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. So how do you feel about leading a team? Are you prepared to tell people what to do? Can you delegate effectively? So if that's terrifying, that's red. If you're somewhere in the middle, yellow. And if you're like 2 thumbs up, good to go. I'm bossy, I can do it. That's a green. So where are you guys at?
Kathleen and Marianne are green. Tony's a green.
Woo-woo.
We've got one red. I love being a leader, but I have a really hard time cutting what's not working. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
And then the last, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. The last piece of this is communicating with confidence. So the voters have to believe in you, right? So you can't be hedging. You can't say, oh, I believe X, Y, and Z, or, oh, I just want to say X, Y, and Z. Like you need to be able to say, I believe this. I know this to be true. Here's what I stand for. So if you get shy about talking to people or using hedging words, or you struggle to tell people about you or what you do, that's a red. If you're cool with that, that's a green for you. And if you're somewhere in the middle, that's yellow. So tell us where you're at.
Jessica's green, Julie's a green, or sorry, Julie's a yellow.
Okay.
Couple of greens. So people seem to be sort of in the middle or on the green side. Little yellow, little green.
Okay. And then the third piece of this puzzle is the visibility piece. And the first part we want to talk about with that one is authenticity. So you have to be completely real, can create a real connection with people, speak from vulnerability. Because people don't relate to perfectionism. Like, look at Melania. People cannot relate to her. I mean, there are a variety of reasons, but that's one of them. She's very standoffish. She's perfect. And Hillary's been called that too. You know, she's too perfect. She's not warm. She's not relatable. So if we're shifting the entire political culture to be more authentic and to really represent everybody, we have to be able to stand in exactly who we are. So where are you with being your real true self in public as you're standing up and being visible and talking to people? Where are you? Red, green, yellow? Where are you at?
Mary Ann's a yellow, and she's really affected by the 30, 40, 30. She's been told that she comes off as a know-it-all.
Okay.
Everybody else is calling in green.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the next piece of this is your integrity. So this looks like the outward manifestation of the alignment of yourself and your message and your campaign. And do you feel prepared to line those up in a cohesive way? So do you mean what you say? Do you honor your promises? Do you say the same thing to everybody? Where are you with that? So you can't be saying one thing to the voters and another thing to a corporation who's going to send you a lot of money, right? So where are you at? Red, green, yellow? How y'all feeling about integrity and maintaining that?
Everybody's green.
Hell yes.
Yes.
Praise Jesus. Right?
Oh, Mary Ann's a little yellow.
That's okay.
That's all right.
That's okay.
This is the hardest piece, is this visibility piece.
Yep. And the last piece of that is being willing to be imperfect. Missy, go ahead.
And this is my most favorite part of the wheel, honestly, is this willingness to be imperfect. So are you willing to take that good girl that's inside of you, look at her and be like, you know what, girl, it's time for you to sit your ass down. Here's a coloring book and crayons. I need you to go off in the corner, good girl, and check your perfection at the door and say enough is enough. Are you willing to be seen and be imperfect? And this is really, really complicated for women who are running for office, because we expect our elected officials to be perfect. It's part of the downfall of what's happening, I think, in politics and social justice today, is we really, really believe that our politicians have to engage in perfect policy, and that's just not possible. And so if you're willing to be imperfect, that is fantastic. And it looks like, Melanie, a lot of people are calling on the green. So they are really, really willing to embrace their imperfection, which is key for finding your voice and being visible.
Absolutely.
Jessica says it's really hard for her to deal with not being liked. So
that's that inner good girl, right?
Yep, that's that inner good girl. So hopefully, Jessica, you can grab some tools from today that are really going to help you reduce your anxiety around this, because it's a critical piece.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think Dems are we're especially vulnerable to looking for the perfect candidate, right? We want someone who represents everything that we believe in, and not one piece can be off. And so, yeah, I know that that's a real challenge sometimes, but I think that embracing our imperfections is going to help us get out there a little bit better.
A couple of participants are saying they freak out about not being liked. So this is all of these things together really lead to you being that fierce candidate that doesn't care about not being liked anymore.
Yep. All right. So what is lighting you up so far about what we've talked about? What parts have really excited you? What are the three pieces you feel like you need the most help with? We're gonna hit in to three of them, a couple of them going forward, but let us know what feels really resonant for you in the chat. We're going to talk a bit more about finding your voice, the inner critic, and being willing to be imperfect.
So what so far that you've heard has been really helpful?
Yeah.
Articulating my passion to create a platform. Nice.
Awesome.
Imperfection is necessary. Yay! So good.
Anybody else?
Opportunity to learn. Great. Awesome.
All right.
Authenticity is Mary Ann's issue. She has to be able to let go of a certain segment of voters. It's so critical.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica says all the pieces that create the diagram. Awesome. That's fantastic.
So glad you're getting something.
So we want to talk to you a little bit about finding your voice. So what you can do to find your voice and a couple of tips to how to find your voice. So in your workbook, you'll see some questions about dreaming up a coalition for change in your area, staying informed and up to date on topics. And those are questions that you can use to sort of illuminate on how to find your voice and how you envision impacting other people. But the first thing I want to talk about, Melanie, will you flip this side?
Oops, yes.
It's okay. Is how do you find your voice? Like, and what does it mean to use your voice? So one of the ways that you can really use your voice is to talk about the things that totally flip your skirt and do it for you. So if you've got this opportunity to even talk with people in your neighborhood and your neighbors door to door, how you use your voice on what is passionate and drives you and lights you on fire. For me, my passion is women's reproductive health and reproductive justice. And so anytime I'm in conversation with people about those policy issues, my amplification comes out and I get bigger and I get taller and I really, really amplify that. And I've used that passion to change policy when it comes to those issues. And so you want to be able to talk to and think of one person in your world that, whether it's the environment, healthcare, education, reproductive health, whatever it is that lights you on fire, that you will talk to at least one person about why that makes you so excited. And once you break down that barrier of having that conversation with just one person, you're able to have it with whole bunches of people. So that's what it means to really use your voice. But there's also another piece about messaging your voice. So it's all about getting up on your soapbox. And so you found your voice, and now this is how you use your voice. And I literally have a soapbox. My husband bought me one for my birthday because he was like, you need a soapbox. And it's from 1917 and it says fairy soap on it, and it's really magic. And I use it to teach and I use it to give speeches, and I love my soapbox. When I give my TED Talk someday, I'm going to use my soapbox. So when I was getting my master's degree, I did research on homeless youth, and I knew that our homeless youth, I was in Utah at the time, and our homeless youth didn't have a shelter or a place to go. And so I kind of peeled away the layers of the onion, figured out that we needed an emancipation law to help our homeless youth, and started just going to leaders in the community and getting up on my soapbox and using the knowledge that I had with the message and my passion to change law in Utah. And once you figure out how to frame your powerful story and how you envision it impacting your community, your neighborhood, the places that you come from, you are able to really tap into that passion piece that we're talking about. And then authenticity doesn't become an issue, for example, because you are tapped into that core. And so you can get people to shift on a bunch of different issues when you didn't think you could. Imagine me fighting for emancipation of homeless kids in Utah. That's a very divisive issue in a family-oriented state, but I did it because I very successfully built coalitions because I was tapped into that drive that was making me so excited. And that's really the critical piece. So to summarize, for your voice, pick a passion issue that lights you up, frame your story around that, use the questions we've got in the workbook, and then amplify your story to anybody who will listen to you. Anybody that you have connection with, anybody, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Once you're tapped into your passion, you framed your story around those questions we've got in your workbook, you can amplify it to the masses and people will hear you no matter their political side.
All excellent points. So the next piece that we want to dive into is the inner critic. So what is your inner critic? It is the voice, as I said before, it is the voice in your head that tells you that you suck, that tries to keep you in your place, tries to keep you from being too big. Might say that everybody hates you, or nobody wants to listen to you, or nobody cares what you have to say, and that you're doing it all wrong. So this is such an important piece because it keeps us small, and it makes us question ourselves and makes us hesitate and doubt ourselves. And really, I mean, it's just trying to keep us safe. It's just doing kind of a crappy job of it. So what you want to do, this is my big tip for you, is give a voice or personify who your inner critic is. Like for me, mine's my grandmother. And then start pulling out and listening to all of the things that she or he says to you. Start to identify whose voice is that and where are they coming into your life. And then, you can go to the workbook. What stories does your inner critic tell you? Whose voice is it? And then can you send that voice compassion and take action anyway? And what's the worst that could happen if you acted anyway? So my tip for you, and this is a shot from Harry Potter, where they have the lesson on boggarts, and the boggarts take the shape of the thing that scares you the most. And it's Neville's turn, and the thing that scares him the most is Professor Snape. And the goal of the exercise is to think of something ridiculous, and make that boggart do that ridiculous thing or dress up in that ridiculous way. And then you laugh and it takes all the power out of it. So my tip for you, so Neville has dressed up Snape in his grandmother's outfit, which includes this big vulture hat and ridiculous outfit. So that's kind of what I do with my own grandmother. So visualize your inner critic as a person, and then dress it up in silly clothes. And then shrink it down to this tiny little size that might fit into the palm of your hand. This is what I do with my grandmother. And then send it love and say thank you, because it's really just trying to keep you safe. And then give her a task to do. And then take your action anyway. So what this looks like in practice is I dress my grandmother up as Napoleon on a tiny little horse, because she's the 10th of 12 children, and she's about 4.5 feet tall, and she's just bossy as all hell. Everybody does what grandma does. So I dress her up as Napoleon, stick her on a tiny horse, shrink her down in my mind so that she can fit into the palm of my hand. And then I say, thank you. I love you. I appreciate that you're trying to take care of me, but I got to go do this thing, and I'm not going to let you hold me back. And she loves to make quilts. So I tell her, please go make me a quilt. And I imagine her going to make me a quilt, and I put her in that room over there making a quilt. And then I dive in and do the things that I have to do. So to summarize this quick little tip, personify your inner critic, dress them up and shrink them down, send her some love, give her a task, do the damn thing.
So this next section is really about being perfectly imperfect. And so for those of you who, yay, love it. I love it too. It's so fun to dress up your inner critic and then make them look super silly. So where are you afraid to make mistakes? What does vulnerability look like to you? Why is it so important to be willing to be imperfect and vulnerable? And I know for a lot of us, being vulnerable means that we will get attacked, that we'll be victimized, that we will, that people will come after us. And for many of us as women in this country, especially with what's happening now, we've been triggered. And so being vulnerable and imperfect can be kind of scary. And so one of the things that, one of the tips that we have is for you all to fail often. And so when we're running for office, especially, we are afforded a multitude of opportunities to fail often. Right. And so if you're afraid to try new things because you might fail, or you stay stuck because you just stay stuck in what you already know, fear of failure is just a fear of feeling shame. It's a fear of feeling humiliation or sadness, or it's a self-preservation technique that many of us have had to hold on to. And so if you are willing to run, and if you deliberately fail at something every day for 30 days, we really mean this. If you are willing to fail more, you desensitize yourself to the idea of failure, and then you do it on purpose, you get it out of the way. And for many of you who voiced that you're afraid of failing, and that's what's holding you back from running for office, this is the sweet spot. being perfectly imperfect and being willing to fail means that you're also willing to tap into your passion and move past that failure. And this is where, if you're failing often, everything, the sky's the limit for you. There's nothing that can hold you back if you fail on purpose.
Yeah. And I wanted to add that you can use this in fundraising to make it your goal to see how many no's you can get in your fundraising, like call hours. And if you make that your goal, knowing that you're going to get a lot of them, it takes some of the fear out of that.
Absolutely. Melanie?
So the next bit is about making mistakes, being vulnerable, and being able to connect with people and being real and showing your weaknesses. And we're often afraid that we have to be perfect, right? When we're live like this, we're on TV in public, feeling that we have to say all the right things. But our tip here is that we want you to be willing to suck. Yeah, fail a lot and be willing to suck. But seriously, like, let go of this notion that you have to be perfect just to be good enough. Running for office is a whole new world, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and it's okay. So if you accept that now, then make a plan for how you're going to handle it later. Knowing that you're going to mess up in advance makes it easier to get back up, fix it, and move on. So you want to prepare, note down everything that you want to say and how you want to say it, and then practice, and maybe even have your notes in front of you. But practice, and then be real when you're ready to go live. And it's super easy to get into that deer in headlights mode because, cameras automatically like trigger this, oh God, everyone's watching me, like fight or flight or freeze scenario. So one of the really cool things that you can do is create a Facebook group with just you in it, or maybe a friend who can help interact with you or ask you questions, or just go and review your videos. And practice doing Facebook Lives in it just to get used to being on, because it's a very safe space. It's just you. You can fuck it up as often as you want to. You can do it 100 times. It doesn't matter. You're the only one, or whoever you invite to that group is who's going to see it. But yeah, going in knowing that you're going to make mistakes and then practicing what you'll do to overcome with grace ahead of time is going to make you feel so much more confident going out there and doing it. So puff yourself up, believe that you can. And then another piece of this is using the fear or the nerves that you feel, because it's the same bodily reaction as excitement. So your body has this, oh my God, reaction when you're about to go out on stage. That could be fear, but it could also be excitement. The only real difference is the thoughts. Your body reacts the same way regardless. So if you can shift your thoughts from, oh God, I'm about to go out in front of 3,000 people, to, oh my gosh, I'm about to share this awesome, amazing message, and I'm about to touch all of these people's lives and change their lives, that is a place of power. So just that one mind shift from fear to excitement will change everything about your presentation.
So one of the things that Jenny put in the comments was that she doesn't like to talk on the phone, and she was just going to ask about using social media to fundraise. And the bonus is that if you use some of these techniques, first of all, there has to be call time to raise money in a campaign, unfortunately, but sometimes you can use a volunteer or a staffer who's really good at the phone to do that part of the fundraising. And then if you are comfortable being on screen or pre-recording yourself asking for money, then you can leverage the social media piece to raise money and raise money in different creative ways. So
yeah, video goes a long way with that.
Acknowledging the things that you don't like so that you can build a team around you for your campaign that can do the things that you don't like, and you can use your strengths in other ways, Jenny, means that you are still capable of running a kick-ass campaign. You just surround yourself with people who can leverage those other pieces for you.
Yeah, and then you only do the pieces that only you can do.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I love Wonder Woman. I have loved Wonder Woman since I was I had my Wonder Woman under Ruth in kindergarten. Mm-hmm. And so
me too. Oh my God, me too.
Yay! So the thing that we love about Wonder Woman is that she chooses to take action when no one else will and be imperfect. And if you haven't seen the new movie, go see it. because there's a couple of times throughout the movie where she just like acts without worrying about acting perfectly. And that's really, there's an old saying that there are two things you don't really want to see being made, laws and sausages, because it's messy. And policy is super messy, but life is messy too. And if we expect to be perfect, we're not going to get anything done. So if we'd love to see in the chat box, when are you afraid of being imperfect in your campaign? Like, where are you afraid of being imperfect in running for office? So is there a time, can you throw up in the chat where, if you've thought about running for office, what part of the imperfection is holding you back?
It could be making those phone calls. It could be public speaking. Where are you afraid of not being perfect?
Saying something dumb in an interview. Yes, Julie. Oh my God, I've done that so many times. Keeping promises that are time sensitive. Follow through is rough with 4 kids under 8. Absolutely, Jessica. That's a critical piece. Yeah. It can be done though. Anybody else? I'm not afraid of not being perfect. I can't be. That's good.
Awesome. Okay.
Great.
So to summarize, yeah, fail often, be willing to suck, and do it imperfectly. Here you go. It's your turn to sing.
Ready, 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 ready to run. So for those of you that were on super early, we were playing this song because every time I see ready, 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 ready to run, I'm like, I totally go to the Dixie Chicks because I love them more than life itself. So if you are ready to run, you want to call or Google your Secretary of State to find out what's required, or your county if you're running for city county office. Usually that's run through the cities or the counties.
Yep.
Then you want to call 5 friends and ask for money and support. So when men run for office, they do this crazy thing. They've done research on this forever. So men wake up in the morning and they get they're shaving like in the mirror or whatever, and they're like, I want to run for Senate. I'm going to run for Senate. And then they call 5 of their besties and they're like, hey, give me money. I'm going to run for Senate. And their besties are like, okay, I'll give you money. But we wake up in the morning and we're like, I want to run for office, but first I've got to take care of my kids, and then I've got to take care of work, and then I've got to take care of my house, and then I've got to take care of my community. And so we come up with this list of stuff, and then eventually we get around to it. So if you're ready to run, we want you to call 5 of your friends and ask for their money and support when you run for office. And then, Melanie?
Then choose a campaign name and or slogan, because you're going to need that too. And you can, obviously edit and change that up as you go, but these are like the first 5 things to just knock out of the park right away. And then open a campaign account. Tell us more about that, Missy.
So when you have picked your name for your campaign, you just go and open a campaign account in a bank. And you have to make sure through your filing offices and through the Secretary of State or whoever you file to run through, that name has not already been chosen. And for some of you, you've been through that process already because you're already running. Mm-hmm. But those things can keep people from running. And so just remember that it's actually pretty cut and dry the way the rules are laid out to choose a campaign name, open a campaign account, and start dumping money into it. And finally,
apply for our program, The Candidate's Secret Weapon.
Jessica's asking, how do you decide on a name? Well, I think if you've ever seen people's lawn signs or people's campaign names, it could be as simple as Jessica for the number 4 and then whatever position. So for Congress, for House, for Senate, for City Council. Kathleen's already picked hers. So Jessica, you can really, you just got to make sure the name's not taken.
Yep. It could be Jessica for Congress or Jessica for...
wants us to go back a slide. Can you go back a slide?
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. So you really just want to make sure that you're following the guidelines that your state where you live has put out for what's required to run for office. And that's why the number 1 thing here is to call or Google your Secretary of State to find out what's required to run for office.
Yeah, or your county or community. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So we've given you some pretty juicy nuggets so far, but there is so much more to that wheel to teach and implement. And it's also about taking action and getting you the strategies and mindset that you need to take action. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how to work together. Let us know in chat if that sounds good to you.
Good. Julie's like, yes.
Awesome. So
Yep.
Option 1 is right for you. We have 2 different ways to work with us. Option 1 is right for you if you want to run by 2020. If you think you want to run, now is the time. And this program is designed to get you up and running quickly so you can enter the race and get to work. The second requirement is that you're willing to invest the time, resources, and mental work to create your resilient, inspiring candidate that we know that you can be, and a campaign that voters will want to support. And you want a team of no bullshit badasses in your corner, teaching, guiding, and motivating you no matter what happens. That's us. And you want to run the right way with confidence, ease, integrity, and solid skills to manage rejection, frustration, and stress.
So what's included in that option 1 is that we have 6 months of coaching for badass, serious candidates that are ready to start now with immediate fundraising assistance. And so if you choose to work with us with option 1, you get 3 calls a month, once a week. So 1 with me, 1 with Melanie, and then 1 with us together. And then we have a half-day VIP online intensive where we will sit together online for half a day and offer extra support and love for your campaign. And then ongoing email, text support, 6 30-minute emergency calls for when stuff comes up in your campaign, because we know that stuff comes up in your campaign. And then I have an online program called Marginalized No More, which is an online advocacy program that helps you tap into your passion, and you get access to that as well. And there's an application process. So we'll schedule, if this is something you're interested in, then you can apply by filling out an application, and we'll review your application and set up a 10-minute call to talk. And the really critical piece here is that even if you don't know or you're not sure if this is right for you, we will review it and let you know, and we can have that conversation. And if you're not ready, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Tell us about option 2, Melanie.
So option 2 is just the VIP day to really get you up and running quickly, and we can focus on whichever of those areas that you need the most help with, whether it's leadership or fundraising or visibility. We can really hone in 3 or 4 hours on exactly what you need and the mindset you need to build out to be the best candidate that you can be in those areas that you're kind of a little shaky on. And this option 2 is the VIP day is $19.97. And if you decide you want to do this, you'll fill out the application. Missy, did you put the application link in the chat?
I just did just now.
Awesome. So we'll go ahead and start scheduling these out, and we'll get started with all of this in January. So you still have some time. But if you do the VIP day, and there's a section on the application to pick either one, the 6-month coaching or just the VIP, so it's up to you. But if you decide after the VIP day within 72 hours that you want to do the full 6-month coaching package, we'll include the price of this into your 6-month coaching package. So the application is in the chat box, and then what you'll do is just fill that out and we'll review them. And then we'll schedule a 10-minute call, 10 or 15-minute call with you to find out where you're at and what you need and how we can best help you, and to see if we're a good fit. And if we feel like, this is not a thing that's right for you yet, we won't let you join. Like, we're not in it to like grab as many people as possible. Like, we want to really be able to help you and help the most people as possible in the right way for the people who are ready to do it. So if we don't think it's right for you, we're not going to let you join.
And one of the reasons you guys actually, all of you that have been on this webinar have really elucidated all of the reasons that Melanie and I developed these types of programs, because we can get trained to run for office from multiple different sources. We can get trained by all of these different organizations to run, but having that support after we get trained to run is sometimes really complicated, especially if you live in rural parts of the country or in places where you might not have access to those organizations. And so one of the reasons we came up with the Candidate Secret Weapon is because we want to be the secret weapon, because we know that we have a huge opportunity to take some really incredible seats over in the next couple of election cycles. And Jessica, I totally feel you that you feel like you can't do this for another 4 years once all your kids are in school full time. And I absolutely hope that once that day happens, you are willing to run for office. And I hope that the things that you've learned here, you hold on to until you're ready to pull the trigger, because there's room for everybody. And in 4 years, there's definitely going to be even more opportunity to take even more seats, because this is a rolling sort of a process, right? And so,
and this is not just a moment, it's a movement.
No,
we're not going anywhere.
It's not a moment, it is a movement. This is a
right?
marathon, not a race. Hey, Melanie, Julie's asking if we can talk about the costs one more time for the programs.
So the 6-month coaching, we will talk about on the phone call with you. But then option 2, the VIP day, is $19.97.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions about the things that we covered in the webinar?
Yeah, and if you're not 100% sure yet, just go ahead and apply. That's fine. And then we'll talk about it on the call and see if it's a good fit for you.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions? It looks like we have covered everything, Miss Melanie.
Awesome. Well, so I want to know one more thing. What was your biggest takeaway from today? What will you take out into the world with you when you start your campaign?
Yeah, what will you take into the world? Yay, thank you for empowering women to run. Yes, hell yes.
Awesome.
Practicing imperfection to desensitize. Ooh, I love that. That is so
Absolutely.
Juicy. That is so good. What else has been helpful? Feeling that I can do this with smart guidance. Very nice.
Hell yeah.
If I have 4 years to get ready, I can get to work on my critic and practicing to be imperfect. Absolutely, yes. Jessica. Yes. Tapping into the passion.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Awesome.
Bunch of passionate badasses going out and changing the world.
Yes, that is all we really want.
Any obstacles we feel we have, really, they can all be overcome. Very nice.
They can be. They really can be.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much for showing up with us and for hanging out. And I hope that you learned an awful lot today. Our social media is down here. And again, the application link is in the chat. So we would love to hear from some of you who want to work together, and we hope that we can help you. If nothing else, I hope that you've gotten a lot of value out of today. That is our #1 goal. And we hope that you run for office and kick ass at it.
Thank you so much for joining us. Y'all are awesome. Go out and change the world. Tap into your passion right now. Thank you.
Thank you.